So who is your favorite band?
That's hard.
When John Lennon died, it was as if the president was assassinated.
Life is meaningless, and one day you will die.
You were insignificant. Nobody cares.
Nobody
People care about
cares.
themselves.
If we were to open up your phone right now and pull up your Spotify playlist, what would be on there?
A lot of 60s Jamaican ska, Olivia Rodrigo, and I don't know, like The Descendants maybe, or Fall Out Boy.
I want to say, let's
Yeah.
see. I can open
I'm
mine right
curious.
now.
I mean, it's kind of an interesting topic. You know, at the end of the year, they give you sort of the highlight of what you're most listened to.
Yeah.
Were you surprised?
Ska,
or
no.
Oh, okay.
Ska and like Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo were probably my top. Like,
Let's dig into Taylor Swift. What do you think of Taylor Swift?
I think that it's two things. So one, I think she's really talented, and you can't take that away from her. But also, like, she is famous because her dad is very wealthy and he works for Pepsi, and he had the money and influence to help her become where she is. But I don't think that takes away from her talent. And I think it's impressive that anybody can have so much. I mean, honestly, she has so much sway that brands who normally don't buy Super Bowl commercials bought Super Bowl commercials this year. I think that's fascinating. I think her producer is really great. She makes really interesting music. And pop songs are good songs. I don't know. Attention spans are really short now, so you have to keep the songs interesting so that people will continue to listen. So you have to always be changing it up in the song. So I like to try and glean production ideas from other people.
I was going to say, I think Taylor Swift's amazing, dude. Like, honestly, like, the songs are good, but the fact that in the beginning you get a leg up by having your parents being able to move to Nashville for you or whatever it is. And I don't hate on her for that. I think that's great. You know, or she had supportive parents. I wish Sorry, Mom.
I mean, I personally, what I see with her, of course, I look at it through this lens. She's a brand genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Personal brand genius.
Yep.
And she genuinely cares. You could feel it about her fan
Well,
base
she's
and
genuine.
her audience.
Like, you look at that's like, we talk about that all the time, and I talk about that in my personal life and in business life, but it's, you know, or your head and your heart in congruity, and you could feel that when
Well,
somebody.
I've met her. She's very nice.
You could feel it, right?
Yeah.
You could feel it. You could definitely.
She's very, very.
Did you get to chat
nice.
with her?
Split second. I was like working on a set, and she came over to say hi to the guy I was like doing the TV show with. But like, I was just standing there because we were on a break, and she came over and they're talking, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's so rude of me. I'm Taylor." Now, she didn't say I'm Taylor Swift. She could have ignored me. I have had a lot of that in my career. But she turned and said, "I'm Taylor. Nice to meet you." And I said, "Nice to meet you." And I said, "Oh, I'm going to go get a snack." And I walked away, give him time. But like, to me, I wanted to be a hater as a punk rock girl. You want to be like, "Oh, fuck that," you know? But then I'm like, no, she's fucking nice. Women shouldn't tear other women down, you know?
So now we're getting into heroes. Have any of your heroes that you later met let you down?
Oh, let me down. No, I thought you were going to ask if we met any of our heroes, and I was just...
My general rule
Yeah,
is don't meet your heroes. That's
None of them let you down? You've met some of your heroes and none of them let you down?
Yeah, no, they've all been very lovely. We recently got to play with Linville from the Specials.
Yeah,
He
we
came
just love
out
him,
on stage and he did the song Gangsters, which is a Specials cover we do. And he has like the most iconic part of that song is he goes, "Bernie Rhodes knows don't argue," and then the song starts. And he came out and he gave a speech and he said really nice stuff about us. And then he started the song and we were going to play it with him. And like Mike and I were like literally crying.
yeah.
And we like forgot. I
forgot where I was for a second, but a band like the Specials, they really transcended not just ska music, right? Because it was about the unity of races in a very racist Britain in the 70s, you know, and that kind of mixed with punk rock. It was just a really magical time, and so a lot of those guys were like political leaders too. You know, they were all leading a cause. We don't know that type of poverty that they had there. I think, well, we don't personally. You know, and there's plenty of opportunity in the United States. It wasn't like how it was then. And I think their songs kind of reflect that. But to have this guy, he's talking about Bernie Rhodes, who is the Clash's manager. And it's this is from the song Gangsters. If you guys get the rights, you can play Gangsters. But it's a really iconic piece of the song. And so we were playing in Seattle, and he came out and he's saying, "Dude, it was amazing." And so
I couldn't stop crying. It was like embarrassing.
It was good.
I was like singing the song and crying, and then I came off stage and I was still crying, and I had to go in the dressing room away from everybody and like compose myself because also like Chris from Fishbone came out like and was dancing, and I was like, I'm playing with Fishbone. Linville from the Specials is here. We're all singing a song. Like it was like the ultimate, and I just couldn't stop freaking out.
As a general rule, though, my rule is don't ever meet your heroes. because
Okay,
they're
so
just people, right? They're just people.
Yeah, and,
And so-
have any of your heroes let you down that you've met throughout your life?
I don't, I don't want to say any names, but
No, you don't have to disclose their name, but just have you
yeah,
had an experience where
Yes, I have. And honestly, like playing in bands too, for even back in like the 90s and stuff, meeting people, it's some people, man, they're humans and they're having a bad day. You know what I mean? They're like, or they're rushed or all these other things. And we're not all as gracious as we could be or we should be, right? All the time. So,
Yeah, sometimes you get people on a bad day.
yeah, I actually was, I was in a band of the night, and you brought up RX Bandits, right, earlier. And we were talking about RX Bandits, and Matt Embry, the singer of RX Bandits, has a story about me being particularly rude to him when he was a kid, when I was on stage. And I remember the day, I'm like, I was putting my gear away, man. Like, I didn't have time to talk to you. And he's like, you blew me off, bro. So.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people who think I'm rude. I'm sure.
I'm sure there
you
is.
try your best, to be nice and kind to everybody, but sometimes you're having a bad day or you're sick or,
That's what I like to chalk it up to. Huey Lewis, I'm looking at you.
or people put up walls. Like I recently met some people who are, I wouldn't say heroes of mine, but people I looked up to, and like they were nice, but it was very like Hollywood, very like distance, very like, okay, night, hi, move along, but people do that to protect themselves because you can't let everybody in,
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah. So
It's just kind of interesting. I mean, punk rockers and people in ska, from my experience, of course, I grew up in the 90s. I was a huge fan of punk, huge fan of ska. I saw my superhero, RX Bandit.
was he mean to you?
Janitors Against the Part that I was like 16. I was a lifeguard at Raging Waters, so I
was going to say, what a rad job in 1997.
1997, I was a lifeguard at Raging Waters, so I had all the good records came out in 1997. Guttermouth, So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes, No Effects, My Superhero, Mad Caddies. Like there were so
Caddies,
many that came out. Suicide Machines record came out. It was like endless, and it was a special time for sure. And since then, of course, I've met or worked with or been in and around, but most of them are lovely people. They tend to be punk rockers because they care about causes very deeply. They're not all of them though. I've definitely walked on some landmines, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I just think that is life. I don't think it's isolated necessarily to music because there's assholes everywhere.
Yeah.
There's assholes in business, there's assholes at the grocery store, there's assholes at the airport. And so
I always think all these factors, though, man. It's, what's my blood sugar doing right now? Am I tired? Like all the, you catch anybody, man. I'm sure. Hey, you're a positive man. You're a father, whatever. But somebody catches you at the end of a long day. It's like, can you give me 5 minutes? Get off me for a minute, right?
I try to practice it because I think like all the success and failure of life is actually really contained in how you react to situations, and the better you get at that, the more peaceful
it's really the only
existence
thing you can
have.
control. Yeah. That's the only thing you can control. Is how
you can
react.
stop for a second and think, like I had a reaction earlier, but it was a buildup of multiple things that caused me to react like that.
Gotcha.
But it's just life, right? That's the way it goes.
Yep, that's true.
If you shake the soda bottle, it's going to pop.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
You should go on tour with a band with 7 people. You'll see that soda bottle pop.
one band.
I bet. I can't even imagine in
Honestly,
a van. In a van?
In a
with the interpersonal chemistry of a 7-person band, it's you sometimes pick the replacement guy or whatever based on that guy's cool. Yeah, pick that guy. He's mellow. He doesn't talk. I love that guy. Because if you get another big personality in, what does that do to the chemistry of everybody?
I would say we're lucky.
We're very lucky
because we're close in our personal lives too.
Yeah.
So I think we give each other a lot more grace than I think if we were in it for the money or whatever. Yeah. Everybody can't be having a great day all the time. Yeah, and you sort of learn to anticipate people, right? I know
set them up to win.
I know how, what will make, like Dan, our drummer. He's not here now. You got to feed that fool. If you don't feed him, he's going to have a meltdown. So we always are asking Dan, are you hungry? Do you need Dr. Pepper? You need a snack? Stuff like that.
It's just management 101.
They all know that, if I have a bad day, I'll shut down and just start quietly crocheting, and they know to leave me alone, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's picking your battles with everybody.
Yeah, they say hunger, sex, or sleep.
Yep.
Those are the 3.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It could really,
mine is
really...
hunger, but yeah.
It could really, that's what they say.
Hunger, temperature.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's sleep deprived,
A lot of that on
something
tour.
could happen. Sex
Totally.
deprived and food deprived.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty
Well,
much
I'm not saying
touring.
it's right, but they say.
Yeah.
But food for me, for sure. Sleeping, I think I definitely start to get hangry. They call it, right? Hangry.
Oh
Right.
yeah, we got a lot of that going on in our band. That's why we asked for them to put PB&J supplies in our dressing room, because
Yeah.
then
Forget the beers. Leave us the
Leave
peanut
us
butter and
PB&J.
jelly.
Uncrustables, right?
Yeah, or whatever they're
Whatever they
take
got, we'll
whatever.
take it.
But, even if it's just a loaf of bread and peanut butter and jelly, it's perfect because if you're hungry, eat right now.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
eat this right now.
stop
we'll get
being
something later.
angry and eat.
And eat.
So I interviewed another band member on another interview, and he's been in multiple bands, and he was talking to me about the stew in Europe. Have you guys toured Europe a lot? Or not?
We
I
haven't
have
toured. I've been to
not.
Europe many
Anybody-
times, but I haven't toured there. No.
Oh, okay, yeah. So can you give us the most awful backstage food experience you've had? We'll start with you.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, truthfully, like, I'm just happy if there's any, like, we're low man on the totem pole a lot of the time. So if there's anything, I'm happy. Like, I've never had, like, I've never eaten and gotten sick. I know, like, a lot of people in bands have had that story, but, like, a lot of times I literally just eat the PB&J that's there so that I can keep going.
And, she's vegan too, so they
Yeah.
actually, like, if we have time, they'll look up, they'll go
Well,
and
shout
eat or
out
whatever.
to our manager, Christina, because she
Yeah.
always makes sure that we're fed and fed something moderately healthy, because that's the other thing is, like, when I was younger, you would just eat like shit and drink a lot and then get sick and feel like shit. So now that we're older, it's like less drinking, more yoga, more eating vegetables.
More doing what's best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got a story.
I'm sure you got
I did a story.
Let's go.
I was just off the road. I was doing did a whole leg of the country with the Aquabats, and then coming back, we're gonna visit a lot of the same cities on our own. My old band, and we drove really far to play at this place. I think it's still there actually. It's called Jay's Upstairs, and it was in Missoula, Montana. So Jay's Upstairs. You know who you are. So we're going to this show, and they had like, oh, well, you guys are getting taken care of. The college radio guy's been playing you all week. He's stoked on you. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna have a great time. Oh, great. They're gonna have food for you when you get there. We had like an 8-hour drive to get to this place, and we're tired. Pull in. The back entrance of the place looks like the Disney Imagineers made it, like Thunder Mountain. Like it literally was like, and it's literally upstairs. So you got to take all of our gear upstairs. We go up there. We're hanging out. There's nobody there. Literally just the bartender. The college radio guy, not there. He never showed up. As we're sound checking, a dog walked up the back stairs and sniffed around. I thought it was somebody's dog in the place. I didn't know. Stray dog. It walked in 3 circles. It took a dump right on the floor while we were sound checking. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And the lady's like, oh, you guys' food's ready. It's over here. And we walked over, and it's a crock pot. And it probably has a inch layer of oil right on the top of it. And it's just like Dinty Moore chili they put in this thing, or what, I don't know what was in there. Put a bunch of cheese on it and all this stuff, and a thing of white bread. Eat up, guys. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not eating that. There's no way I'm going to eat that. After driving this far, I literally looked, and I was like, and I looked at the showrunner. I'm like, when do we call this? Do we call it now? Like, do we have to play?
I think we've all played to a
It made
dog.
me sick. I ate it, and
you
it made
know.
me sick.
So I kind of want to, I know we're having a little fun here, but I want to dig into the music, how the band started, all of that. So can we start with you?
Sure.
Like what was is this your first band? Is your multiple bands prior to this?
Yeah, I've been in a couple bands, but Bite Me Bambi started because I wanted to play ska. I was playing punk, which I love punk, but I've always wanted to be in a ska band. And so the band that I was in was kind of winding down, and Brian Mashburn, who wasn't able to be here today, but he's like our main songwriter, plays guitar. His project he was in was kind of winding down, and so we kind of got together and we're like, let's just try writing for fun. He was really wanting to write songs for me, like to help me get songs. So I'm not the best at it, so he's great. So we're writing or whatever, and we're like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, maybe we should like make a band. Maybe we should find people to play. So we started like asking around and stuff and putting together. We had the luxury of finding people that we really respected to play with, and so we started picking and choosing people that we wanted to, and that's sort of how we compiled everybody that we have now. And just so started playing shows, and then we were about to go on like a big, like we were sort of on the upswing and we were about to go on a tour with the Aquabats and Real Big Fish, and that probably would have been really great for our career. And then it was 2020, so we did not do that. We shifted to being more online during that time period by streaming on Twitch. I still stream on Twitch at least once a week. And then after the whole lockdown was kind of lifted, we started being able to play more shows and stuff. So it's weird. We've been a band for quite a while, like I think 6 years, but it feels shorter because so
Because of
many
COVID,
of those,
right?
so many of those years we couldn't do much.
Lost some time. That was hard on bands. Like,
Yeah, you had to be creative. You actually had to be creative, and
no doubt about it.
for us to just start doing the online stuff, I had no idea of how big that would be or whatever. And we have songs that are in our set now because they did acoustic covers of them during the pandemic, and people wanted to have them recorded. Like fans requested them. It becomes a much more interactive fan experience, I think.
We have a cool community.
We do have a really cool-
We call them the Bambinos.
The Bambinos, yeah.
They call themselves, and like we have a Discord, and everybody hangs out together, and we have a big show every year, and people travel from all over to come and spend time together, and it's really cool. It's like a family for a lot, sounding cheesy, but it really is. It's like we had a fan. I should say friend. Fan friend. I don't know. It's all the same. But his dad passed away, and he put that in our Discord, and other Bite Me Bambi fans came to support him, drove hours to be with him when his dad passed away. Like, I'm like, that's real. Like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about, like having that connection with your fan base. Like Taylor Swift is the queen of that, obviously, right?
Well,
but you guys
really
are doing
is.
some of that because it works, it's effective.
And it's easy to do because we love them and they love us too.
I always say I want to make content for those people because they're the ones who care about it and love it like I do. Like I want to make things that those people are going to love and be excited about. Like Sure, wouldn't it be wonderful if like we sold out stadiums and but like, look, we play ska and like we're like just us, yahoos from Orange County. So to find people who really resonate with what we're doing, like it can resonate with them. It's nice to find those people and be able to make things that stoke them out.
Yeah. So it's pretty awesome. So
what are you guys up to now? Like, are you guys recording a record? Did you just release a record? What's new? Tell me.
We're in the middle of recording an EP. So we have our single Bad Boyfriend that just came out
in
January. And so we're actually recording the rest, and all of that should be out in May. So we'll have that. And then
so you're kind of just chipping away at it?
Chipping away at it. They have their process of how they write. And then, and then we got to get in and record. And we're going to bang it all out actually in one setting, which usually is not what we do. We usually like to do songs like maybe 2 at a time. And then we like to do videos and release them. So we have a lot of content that's out there all the time. But this time we're gonna record it all at once. So we're gonna put it all out there, and then that way we actually have a complete work that we'll put out.
Yeah, we've done a lot of like singles and stuff. So we have one EP, and that was just like singles and covers and fun videos. And then now it's time to sort of do another like This Is Us. We're kind of showing
at this stage, here's where we are.
Kind of. Maybe we've matured.
So I'm curious because I'm super into band names. Who came up with the band name? Where did it come from? And
that wasn't me, bro.
Bite Me Bambi is the Josie and the Pussycats movie from the early 2000s was one of my favorite movies when I was younger. It's one of the reasons I wanted to play music as a kid. And there's a character in it, and she goes, "Oh, bite me, Bambi." And I'd been reading through the script, and I saw that, and I said, that should be our name. And nobody could come up with anything better, so that's what it became.
So that's it, huh? Would you have chosen something different, Mike? Or
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't know what it was. I'm like, no, I said
Mike
no.
wasn't in the project yet.
I wasn't in the project yet, so they had already had to come up with a name before I got asked to do it. I actually am only in the band. I've known everybody in this band for a long time, but Selena actually wanted me in the band, so that's how. And now, she's reminded of it every day, I'm sure.
Can can we talk about band names and what your favorite band names are?
Oh.
Well, honestly,
favorite names or favorite bands?
Band names,
Okay.
not bands. We can get into that in a minute.
To me, you have to be able to read the font and read the words and know how to spell them without having to tell somebody. That's what makes a good band name. Like, if my band name was my name, Talina Chikami, you don't know how to spell that. You don't know. If from far away, you're going to say, what the hell is that? You're not going to know. So, I don't know who's got good band names. Like, Bad Religion, great band name.
Yeah, and good logo. Like
Great logo.
the logo
Yeah.
about religion, whether you're religious or not, there's a symbol of religion, and I mean,
They're making a statement.
they're making a statement.
Fishbone. You know how to spell fishbone. You know how to spell the specials, right? Those are all easy. My ex-boyfriend was in a band in high school called Struthius Melee. What is that?
Lame.
That's 2 words out the dictionary. They were 15. But you don't know how to spell Struthius Melee? Some guy called them Screw the Mayonnaise when he emceed their show.
Perfect.
You're like, you don't know. You know, you gotta.
Yeah.
When
so
I was in
make
high
it-
school, I was in a band called Fish Truck, and
Fish
we
Truck.
thought it was cute to have fish truck, just like it's spelled, but we'll put a Q on the end.
No, don't do that.
Really bad
Oh.
idea. Really, but like Fugazi, you know? Okay, great.
That's
there's
good.
you see that. You can see the imagery, the Z in there. It's really great. Honestly, like my favorite band name. It's short. It's got a numeral in it. There was a band in the '90s called the Siren Six.
You just love Siren 6.
They're just, and you know, they had an
Sirens.
S6 logo. It looked really cool. And then I think my favorite band name, as just the words that are all together, They Might Be Giants, man. That's a great name. I love that band, and they're a good
For
band.
Wizards only?
For Wizards,
Sorry, that was an inside joke.
yeah.
But I have a band name that nobody's used yet. Y'all can have it. I think it's great. Tiny Pinata. Think of the merch. Think of the logo.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You-
There's a
We're
there's
gonna
a-
have to come up with Tiny Pinata merch.
there's a
side
band
project.
There's a band Pinata Protest.
Yes.
I know, yes.
Yes. We
Yeah, that-
actually
We
just,
actually just met.
Did you play with them or you
no.
met them?
Well, sort of. We played with Voodoo Glow Skulls in
Voodoo.
San Antonio.
They played
Voodoo,
for us
Voodoo.
once.
You
Yeah.
do. Fuck you.
Yeah. We played with him in San Antonio, and he came out. I played the accordion. He plays the accordion. So
It was
he
the accordion player from Pinata Protest
yes,
came to
yeah,
the show.
singer and accordion player. So he came out. And it was really fun.
The first show we ever threw was Face to Face, Guttermouth, Voodoo Glow Skulls.
Oh, awesome.
All great names too. You know how
Yeah.
to spell
Face
all
to Face
that.
is a good name.
Face to Face is a very good name. I actually
And
was
then, I
just,
think it was a different band before actually.
what,
Before the
Face
Face to Face, there was another Face to Face.
Oh, was
I'm
there?
pretty confident.
Oh.
I
Well,
heard
that's
Trevor
like
talk
Well, it's
about
like the
it.
Charlatans. The Charlatans. The
I like
band
the
from-
Venomous Pinks.
Venomous
yeah,
Pink's
that's
cool
a great name.
Great
Bad
name.
Cop, Bad
Fucking
Cop
great
in that
name.
same vein. Also
Bad
a
Cop,
great
Bad
name.
Cop is a good name.
Venomous Pinks is such a great name.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
one.
Fucking awesome.
And potential for great logos too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about logo. Unfortunately, what can the
Logo.
merch look like? You know, that's why Maroon 5 is not Kara's Flowers still, because like, what the
Yeah,
fuck's
right.
that?
They used to be a band in the '90s called Cara's Flowers. and
Yeah.
Just
I
didn't
don't
roll
think
off
that's
the
a great
tongue.
band name.
No, it's not.
It's
don't
a
thi-
terrible band
I don't
name.
know. I don't even know what really.
I mean,
You could argue Maroon 5 too. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah, I don't think it's a good band name.
No.
Yeah,
I don't think
so-
it's a good
I
band.
didn't say band. Band
Oh.
name.
But a band that used to play with them all the time, Phantom Planet, amazing band name. Think about
Phantom
that, like
Planet?
the
That's
Phantom
great.
Planet with the logo.
I
mean,
think
that'd be
Guttermouth is a good band name.
sick. Guttermouth is a great
Great band name.
Yeah.
We're playing with them
Playing
on
with
When?
April 20th.
Where?
the Gaslamp?
Yeah, Gaslamp
Long
in
Beach?
Long Beach. Bucko 9, Guttermouth, us, a bunch of other bands. It's like a festival thing.
Are we gonna be out of town? No, we do have fun.
I
but
was
it's like,
instructed when I got here to only have fun.
yeah,
So.
yes, we have.
Yeah.
I mean, we have fun
It's
at
a little
work. but-
hypocritical, John.
No, I mean, like, I think it's just different, you know, like when you work with musicians or you like, it's a different setting. You know, we work like in arenas with business developers and personal development people, and it's a totally different vibe, you know?
Totally.
But it's fun. We have a good time with it. We try to have fun, right? We just don't sleep a lot.
Yeah.
Sleep
we're
when you're
drunk.
dead. That's what I say, right?
when you're dead.
Mike and I are two people who don't get very much sleep at all.
Never.
Yeah, 'cause
Slap
you're always
happy like comments stuff. It's like we have inside jokes that nobody thinks are funny.
No.
Just because at the time we were both like frazzled and it seemed funny. So
So is the plan to start getting on big tours, playing festivals, all that, going to Europe?
that is the plan.
You guys didn't. What about Spam Fest? You guys had any interest in that?
Yeah, we haven't talked to them about it.
We haven't
but-
talked to them. We've actually through a different agent have been sort of approached to do stuff like that. But to be honest, for us,
Not a fit.
it is a fit. It's the only issue with us is we have to be very kind of pointed with what we take, what we accept, just because it's cost benefit. You know, it's like
Yeah.
how much do
7
we
people
spend
is a lot
for
of
7 people to go over to do that? You know, and what else would we do while we were there? We have to make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It's a different ballgame
It's
with
a different
7
ballgame.
people.
We have to be careful based on I hate to say it, like I love it if we could play 300 days a year, it'd be great, but we have to be really focused on what we can take and what we can,
Well,
how it works in the
We're
schedule.
hoping with this new EP that we're releasing, like we'll be able to release it more internationally, which is something we did not do previously. So we're looking towards Japan. We're in contact with Japan right now. We'd love to do the UK. We have a lot of fans there.
Yeah, Latin
We
America
have
as well.
Latin America as well. So
Yeah.
we're hoping to get working on that sort of stuff. But yeah, just 7 people is hard. There's even been versions where that's like I'm gonna go by myself and back it, and then we'll return with everybody because it's 7 people is really hard to travel with.
Yeah.
Well, plus we have honestly, like we have good relationships with just about everybody that we've met over the years. Like we can count a lot of friends in other bands and other musicians. It's like there's no shortage of people that would sit in, and play it, even in Japan or anywhere else. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe I go, maybe one other person in Talina goes, and then we make up the rest while we're there, But it's just a matter of being able to hit those markets, and I think we're really excited to get out there and do that, especially Japan. I think it's an underserved market. I'd love to go.
Yeah.
Japan sounds cool. I haven't been there yet.
Great toilets. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Let's hear about the toilets.
Oh, they're very fancy. They play music and like sound effects.
toilet?
And the heated toilet seat. And
While you're sitting on the toilet, it sings to you?
Yeah, because it wants to
That's been my dream
It's
all
like
my life.
privacy.
My fart will go on.
It's just.
Yeah.
It just gives
I love it.
No joke. When I was at Tokyo Disneyland one time, it was so cold that I would go in the women's restroom and just sit on the heated toilet seat because I was so cold, and then go back out. So
Everybody loves Japan, huh?
Japan
That's
is
amazing.
cool. Japan is cool, and we're very lucky that we're tied in like with the ska scene there, and we like know people, so that's why Japan.
Yeah,
is
there's a
is
scene there.
Huge
Ska
ska
in Hong
scene
Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo Ska Paradise is probably the biggest ska band in the world.
They're incredible.
They're like household name.
Yeah.
Have had their own TV show, like stuff. I mean, they're
Ska.
Ori Ska band, another one. There's some really great Mason's Party, right?
Yeah, Mason's Party,
There's some-
Hey Smith, all
Hey
that.
Smith.
So great.
They're crazy. Voodoo just went over there and played with Hey Smith, and they were like, "Bro, it's insane." Yeah. I've known Ephraim from Voodoo since I was 15 years old, and it's like he goes, "Homie, that scene is amazing. Like it's amazing." Yeah. So small but mighty.
But that's ska, Latin America, ska is big
Huge.
there. It's cool to go.
And
Australia. We were gonna go to Australia at one point.
Yeah, and then also a pandemic issue. So but it's crazy when you look at it because in the United States, it's like there's a lot of great bands, and we're all kind of shoehorning into the same venues, and it's like, dude, okay, we could do that once a year, but why don't we go to a place where people really would want to see us and have a good time, So it's international. I think is where it's at. I'd really like to be a band it'd be amazing to have a great following in Colombia or like wherever. You just have your hot spots. It'd be amazing.
So who is your favorite band?
Oh, that's hard. I don't know. I have a lot of favorites.
If you had to pick one, you want me to come back to you, Mike?
If I had to pick one, I have.
Sirens.
I have.
I know Mike's favorite band.
No, that's my favorite ska band. But if I
Not
really,
ska band.
No, yeah, I have tattoos of 2 bands on my arm, and they're not ska bands. So I have X is one of my all-time favorite bands. I still see them. I love them. I think they're one of the most important punk bands like ever. And when they came out, their album, their Los Angeles album it turned a lot of people on to punk rock. And so I love that band. They were the first real legitimate, instead of the 1, 2, 3, 4, aggressive punk, they actually had melodies and, so I love them. And I also love the Replacements. So Paul Westerberg is like one of my songwriting heroes, and a really great band that I don't think gets enough credit from Minneapolis. They're pretty amazing. So those 2 would be, and the Clash, So the Clash is always everybody's in a punk rock. The Clash is always their favorite.
Yeah.
And if we're going ska bands, it's got to be the Specials. Have to be my number 1 favorite. And then the Sirens.
You just named 8 bands, Michael.
I have to.
How about you?
I would say X is probably.
I have an answer, and I have a good answer, but go ahead. How about what's the best rock and roll band that ever lived?
Oh shit, that's hard. Like because for what? For songs, dude. Hard to argue with the Beatles, but they're not as rocking as some. But it's hard to argue with those songs. Their songs are amazing, and they appeal to everybody. So that's a toughie. I don't know. That's hard. There can't be one. There just can't be one. There's just too many different.
Yeah, it's hard, right?
Yeah, it's real hard.
Well, it's one that's a favorite to you, I guess. Have you thought about it now?
Well, yeah.
I'm always curious about this.
I mean,
ask
if I
everybody
tell
this.
you the truth, you're not gonna think I'm cool. My real
It doesn't matter. It's whoever is your favorite. Yeah, it's fine.
My real favorite band is not really a band. They're a group called the Manhattan Transfer. They've been my favorite since I was a kid. You've probably never heard of them. They do something called vocalese, which is they take jazz standards and they write melodies and they sing the horn lines and they write lyrics to them. They're an old people band now. One of them is dead, but I've loved them since I was a kid.
Can't believe you're ringing.
I'll check them out.
She talks about Manhattan Transfer all the time.
All that.
That's
Hey,
really,
it's what meant.
probably, I mean, but if we're talking like in our genre or like punk or whatever, I don't know. Like, I'm a really big Fishbone fan.
Yeah,
The Specials, I listen to a lot. And then I personally listen to a lot of like 60s ska, so like Toots and the Maytals, Prince, Buster, Alton Ellis, like that kind of stuff. I listen to a lot of that in my everyday. Also, big Jimmy Buffett fan.
She's a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. There's honestly, dude, with there's so many bands that are important, you know, that maybe aren't the best, but like ska as we know it, as we play it, wouldn't exist without Fishbone. They just wouldn't.
Yeah,
It
of course not.
100% wouldn't. Give up the fight. There would be no Operation Ivy. There would be none of that if it wasn't Fishbone first. So it's like, and they still play. You know, and we're fortunate enough to play with them, and I like to call some of them friends. It's like they're legends, and you know, there's bands that are really important that may not be the, you know, my real answer is probably Huey Lewis in the News, actually.
That's true.
Huey
I
Lewis.
love
in the
Huey
News.
Lewis in the
He
News.
does.
I like Huey Lewis. I can't
Dude.
lie.
What's your favorite band?
The Beatles.
Yeah.
And I think Led Zeppelin's the greatest rock and roll band ever.
I think for rock and roll, you're probably right. That arena style rock.
Because
like
I consider Beatles a band. They were experimental. All their records were different.
Yeah.
You
And
could
Led
pinpoint
Zeppelin
the
is-
start of multiple genres.
Yeah.
Not the start of it, but their mainstreaming of multiple genres through the Beatles music. You know, they
Yeah.
get into psychedelic, and all of a sudden now psychedelic's a thing. You know, like they get influenced by other bands, and they bring it to the forefront. They were that big. You know, where here's our psychedelic record. Oh, now that's on the map.
Yeah,
Now
it's like,
there's 100 other bands that want to do that.
to
you
me,
know?
the test is like someone sitting behind me and I go on Spotify and I start clicking on their songs and there's like 20 in a row that they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Led Zeppelin's one of those. The Beatles is one of those. No doubt. Not no doubt about it, but no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of Beatles as a kid.
Yeah, the Beatles are great, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, and as being a kid, like my dad was much older than my mom, but that's one thing we always had in our house is Beatles records. And I remember being a 5-year-old kid, or not even that, almost 5, when John Lennon died, and like what effect that had in my home. You know what I mean? Like it was as if the president was assassinated. It was as if a head of
deal,
state.
yeah.
And my dad was born in the 20s, right? So it's like you think about how much a contemporary. My dad was already a grown man with children before the Beatles even had his first record. You know, their first record out,
That's
and it had that much
wild.
of an effect to where my dad was emotional about it. You know what I mean? So that's really something to say. And I think the all the government conspiracy crap that you either believe or don't about, you know, John Lennon was an artist, but he was also a subversive. Like he was a guy who wanted to change the world and he tried to. So that's something that I don't think you could say about, nothing wrong with the Rolling Stones, but that's not something you can say about Mick Jagger, you know,
Yeah.
or Robert Plant or any, you know, you can't, they're great musicians, but here's somebody who is a world leader that is really using that fame for something else, whether it be art or whether it be moving a cause. And so it's important. Like they were an important band, you know, on many genres. So I don't know. I agree with you. Beatles was the first thing I said.
Yeah. Have you guys been to Beatles Love in Vegas?
Oh no.
I've always wanted to.
You
and then
must.
I never-
It will
yeah, I
change your
hear
life.
it's,
It
I
will
hear
change
it's
your life,
really
I swear.
good.
Well, I'm actually.
It's amazing.
Mike doesn't go to Las Vegas.
I don't go to Vegas 'cause
unless
I
we
like to
play a
gamble.
show there.
But if you play there and you have a chance, you should go.
We're going.
We're going. We should go. Yeah.
Yeah, so go to Beatles Love and go home and go right to sleep.
So I
If you can.
actually, my favorite city in the world is Liverpool, and if nobody's ever been there, it's an amazing city. They have money for art. They've got huge music ties. Obviously, the Cavern Club's there, and then Eric's right next door, which was huge for punk rock, located right next door to each other. Working class community. It's an amazing place for music, and people from out here, they might go to London, but they never make it to Liverpool. I'm like, you have got to get to Liverpool. It's great. I mean, there's, it's an amazing community. And so the fact that like Elvis Costello's from there, Beatles are from there, it's like you could name the list of all these important artists that came from there. And it's one of the meccas, I think, for music. It's one of the hot points, like Muscle Shoals would be for some people, or Chicago blues, or you know what I mean. It's one of those spots. If you love contemporary rock and roll music, that's a spot you got to go to. It's really amazing.
I'll make sure to check it out. I've been to London, but not Liverpool.
Yeah, see,
London's great.
London is great. London is great.
The people are fantastic.
Dude, go to Liverpool.
Funny.
Go
They're so
to
funny.
Liverpool, and you'll be like, "Hey, Scousers, I'm here for you. I'm giving you a commercial right now." But the people in Liverpool are like Londoners, but working class. Super, super great. I mean, just really nice people.
So I was thinking that, and I'm starting to bring artists in. I want to do some covers.
Mm-hmm.
And so is that something you guys would be interested in? With
We've
me.
never played a cover in our life.
With me.
Yeah, that would be rad. We do a lot of
But I'll probably
covers,
pick
so-
it, like we were talking
Oh,
earlier
yeah.
about doing 96
96
years.
years.
But I make sure you guys are cool with it. But
I
I
like
want
that
I want it to be wildly interesting, and I'm going to bring in people around the office to come in that don't play instruments to participate. And we're going to take various percussion instruments over here and have them at least shake.
Fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Or something, right?
Yeah, that's
I want to
rad.
get everyone involved, right?
Like a collaborative, sure.
I want to kind of dig into this a little bit because I always have, anytime I'm with an artist, I find this interesting, and I'm always curious about this, which is sort of creativity and how, like, in children, they're so exuberant, like a 4-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, can you play that? And they're like, yeah. And they'll just pick something up and get started, right?
Yeah.
Or any activity that's creative, dancing or whatever it might be, they don't say no. They go, oh, I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as we get older and we become adults, the creativity gets smashed or suppressed depending on your environment. In many cases, not for everybody. And then you start saying, oh, I can't do that. I'm not really musical. I don't have that gift, that kind of thing. So
It's
if you
ego. Your ego makes
Yeah.
you feel that way.
yeah. Can you
right.
guys speak to that a little bit for people? Because people watch this and maybe they're discouraged, you know?
I've had the same conversation actually with a coworker years ago, and he said he's an older guy, older maybe, I don't know, 10 years older than me, I don't know. And he's like hanging out in a cubicle kind of setting, and he's like, oh, it's amazing that you play music. I really want to play, but I just can't, I'm too old. And I was like, hey dude, this guy meticulously collects punk records from Orange County, like so the Crowd and Working Class and all these really cool things. He's meticulous about what he loves. I was like, what are you talking about? You what do you want to play? I want to play guitar. Dude, nobody's stopping you from playing guitar. I guarantee you, like, you have realistic expectations. If you want to be Stevie Ray Vaughan, it's going to take you 12 hours a day of practicing to get there, right? And like really figuring it out. But if you want to play punk rock chords on the guitar, you can do it today. Like, it's going to cost you $200 in a cheap guitar amp combo from Guitar Center and a chord book, or you can go online now and like look, and dude, you'll be playing by the end of the day, I promise you. It's just having that willingness to look stupid.
Yep.
And that's the problem, is the ego gets involved, and we're all scared to look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's the one thing that holds a lot of people back. You know how many great voices there would be out there in the world in comedy and acting and all this stuff? Somebody's greatest dream is to write a sitcom, but they've never gotten up to a page because they're scared of looking stupid.
Yeah, it's ego. It's like you're worried about what other people are going to think, right? I mean, that's what stops all of us. It's like self-limiting beliefs. But a lot of times that comes from the voices in our head, from our childhood, our experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody told us at one point, you can't do that. You're not capable.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I had a voice coach
It's the
tell
jabs.
me,
It's the jabs.
she straight up told me, you have a
Right.
horrible musical ear, and I've believed it my whole life. I still do, and I'll tell people, I'm bad at harmony. Like, I have a really bad musical ear. I can't hear it. It's not. I can't help you. I can't do it. And Cameron actually is a big part of a lot of my confidence. When I started recording with him, he was like asking me my opinion, and before I would go, I don't have a good musical ear. Like, I don't know. And he's like, no, tell me your opinion. And like, sometimes you just need someone to be like, hey, yeah, like Mike telling his coworker, like, you can do it. You know,
You need to have a judgment-free zone with a lot of it. But the truth is that, for even like from personal development work and stuff, a lot of that is we have these beliefs in about ourselves, and it's because it keeps us safe. Like when we were kids, it kept us safe, kept me safe to be quiet.
I want to dig into this because this is important to me, and I think about it all the time, and it's something I struggle with. And I think a lot of people struggle with it. You were talking about it earlier, like we were getting into the safe road, like how not saying something, staying quiet, being the meek person in the corner.
It keeps you safe.
It keeps you safe, right? And so let's dig into that. Like sometimes you could do that a little bit too much, right? You could be a little too meek and a little too quiet and not listen to your heart or your intuition and what's tugging on your heartstrings, like be the singer or you can do this, and you just sort of suppress it. So can you guys speak on that? I know you have something to say, but you could start if you want, Mike. Go ahead.
No, to be honest, I think that that is common. I think that we're all told what we can't do, right? And so it keeps you safe by not speaking up, not having a confrontation, or being the guy who now rebels at that. Says, fuck you, I'm gonna do this, even though now you're in it for the wrong reasons. You're in a headspace of negativity and anger or whatever. And, it's like if Jello Biafra used the same vigor instead of being in the Dead Kennedys and he was a stand-up comedian, would he be the Robin Williams of stand-up comedy? You know what I mean? Would he use that power differently? And so, honestly, I think that there's a lot of it where that's the common thing is that people don't, it spills over into everything. Maybe you're not the best singer, right? Maybe you shouldn't be a guitar player, singer, performer, whatever, but it's the act of you suppressing that will keep you suppressed in many other areas, right? In many other areas, and you'll always not. It'll be a factor of I'm not good enough because, and that's really the sad part. So it's like I think that Jay-Z said it. I think where it's like we all have genius level talent. The really lucky people, I think I'm paraphrasing, but the really lucky people find it early. Most of us spend our whole life looking for it. Like where am I a genius level talent at? What can I do? And the lucky ones find it early,
Yeah.
So that brings me peace, when I hear that, because it's like, oh, you're just turning over rocks, man. You're gonna find your thing. I'm just not lucky enough to be enlightened as a toddler,
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean it's not gonna happen for me or anybody else.
So as somebody that's discouraged right now, what would you advise them to set, as far as like if they're kind of thinking about doing something at whatever age they're at?
Just do it. Because here's the thing, if it brings you joy, then that's what matters. Like, I mean, we started this band and our mantra was like, we just want to do cool stuff. Like we don't have illusion or delusions of thinking we're going to make money or fame or whatever. Like we just want to do cool stuff. Singing with Linville on stage is the coolest moment of my life. Like I got to do that, or I get to travel with, I get to travel the world with like someone like Mike. Mike's like my big brother. Like as much as he hates me, it's like fun to travel the world. Like you just have to like what brings you joy. And so like I will write songs that nobody will hear. I was struggling with this a lot recently because we're writing this album and I will self-edit. I won't finish it because I go, it's not good enough. Let me write a different one. Or like I said, Mashburn is our main songwriter. Like I won't show him. He doesn't want to see that. That's not going to be good. And then just recently I'm like, you know what? No, I need to finish the songs for me. Maybe it's not the best thing that's ever been written on the planet. It's probably not. But finishing it for me is healthy because I'm getting that out there. So we have a fan friend, Bambino guy, Mike. He's, I think, probably in his 40s, 50s. And one day he's like, I want to learn to play the saxophone. And he freaking started learning to play the sax, and he played a show with one of the bands, and he's like, now I'm the sax. Like, he just did it. And I think that's if it brings you joy, then just start. You just have to not be afraid.
I would agree. I would say that if you really want to do anything, take that first step. Just take the first step. It's very scary. I get it. You don't know how to swim, take the first step. Maybe the first step is behind a bathing suit. I don't know what the first step is. But whatever that pain point, that fear point that you have, just take that step today. Like do it right now.
The truth is, this is so sad to say, but the truth is life is meaningless and one day you will die. And if you're religious or not, there will become a time where nobody will remember who you are anymore and you will not matter. And your life was really only meant for you. So if what makes you happy is as long as you're not hurting anybody, I say fucking do it. If you feel like you're gonna make a fool of yourself, make a fool of yourself, because one day no one will remember you and you will be lost to time and it will not matter.
When you put it in those terms, it's actually powerful because you're right. Nobody's gonna care.
Yeah.
I always think about it like I always put it in this terms, and I don't know why I'm bringing up Robin Williams again, but I look at that guy and I look at like the Robin Williams Live at the Met Coke years where he's just cracked out for 2 hours on stage. He's like this, and everybody goes, "Oh, that's the pinnacle of his career." His stand-up comedy could never get any better, and he's coked out of his mind doing this. He's a talent. He's a crazy talent, right? Then he goes on. He works for the homeless. He creates millions for the homeless. Then he goes on and wins an Oscar and writes and does all this, has this amazing career, and he dies. And the next day, everybody just moves on. I'm bummed about him being dead, and I'm taking it with me for a couple of days at least. And I'm thinking like, wow, it really let me think about my own mortality. And if the world moved on for Robin Williams, what are they going to do when I'm gone?
I'm gonna go, Mike, who?
Exactly,
What are you talking
right?
about?
You know,
Yeah,
so
you come-
not to be negative, but that's a mantra to live your life now.
Yeah, you come in alone, you go out
You go
alone.
out
So you
alone.
might as well make yourself happy in the meantime. I mean, it's so fucked, but
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. I say this all the time, like, and I think about this like for my own content too, in my own life. My mom died really young at 66, and like, it is crazy. You just end up being a speck of dust in the cosmos. But like, if you were to write your eulogy today, you know, could you live up to it, or could you try to live up to it? What would it look like? You know, it's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
And like, I love this quote. I say this over and over and over, but it's the one that I live by. Don't go to your grave with your music still in you.
Yeah, right.
That's the worst. When I heard that one, I was like, I don't want that. I do not want that.
no. It's
So like, I'm doing stuff now in my 40s that I've always wanted to do. Like, I could feel it inside. I didn't quite have all the answers, and I don't think you ever really do have all the
No.
answers. You have to be willing to execute without a clear purpose.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally. Yeah, it's that first step. You got to take the step a million miles starts with the first step, right? And it's like being able to do that and not care. That's the hardest part. Is like we get back to the ego piece of it. Is like people think I'm dumb. Like when you have that mentality that people are watching you and that they care, you are insignificant. Nobody cares.
Nobody
People care about
cares.
themselves, right? So
Yeah,
for
they
us
think
to
about
have
themselves all day long.
yeah, for they have in your psyche like, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look stupid even signing up for karaoke. You know how many people that like in the personal growth business, they would challenge people like their biggest fear is being in front of people. Well, sign up for karaoke in a karaoke bar at a bowling alley.
Here's the thing: no one's listening to you.
No one's listening to you. They don't care. But there's people going through
That's a good place to start.
a
right?
personal crisis over putting their name on a list to get called up to sing their favorite song that they sang 3 times in the car already today. You know, and so it's like
Yeah, it's
your
debilitating.
mind is a prison in many respects.
You say
like
it to
that.
me all
It
the time.
absolutely can be.
You go like, everything's fine. It doesn't matter. Like
doesn't
nobody's thinking about you.
Anytime she's
Yeah,
in,
they're
a,
really
in,
not.
in a loop like that, I'm like, hey, nobody's thinking about you right now. I promise you. No one's thinking about you. They're
And
thinking
it's
about
true.
themselves. And maybe they're thinking about how you make them feel, but they're not thinking about you. So you go out and do
Yeah.
whatever it is you're
Yeah,
going
you
to do.
just have to make yourself
And
happy.
so, what do we have to say to those people that make us feel a certain way because they have their own insecurities?
Fuck
That's-
you.
yeah.
Well, who said that?
That's, dude, honestly, they're in their own prison. And it's like we talked about how do you respond?
Yeah.
You know, with somebody like the soda can gets built up and it's going to explode or whatever, you know, it just kind of builds up. And how you respond really determines how it goes. And for me, I struggle with that because anybody in this band will tell you that I have a limit and I'll hit it and it'll start getting aggressive, you know, like, you know, whatever, whoever it might be. And it's usually just me bitching, but still, there's a point. And honestly, I struggle with that. I want to work on getting more present and being less reactive, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. So for people out there, I'm like, dude, you'll figure it out, or maybe you won't.
I always say, don't let people live rent free in your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not worth it.
That's the worst, right?
You know, and we all do it. I do it all the time, right? Like, there's tons of people living rent free up there right now, and you're just
Yeah.
like, what are we doing? Like,
Moving in.
Yeah.
Painting the walls.
Have you ever been around those people that could come into a room and suck the air right out of
totally.
a room,
Oh yeah.
or ruin a sunset?
Yeah, the energy vampires of the world that are like
Yeah.
that, right? It's
They're everywhere, huh?
100%. They are everywhere, and my job, I think, in this world is to make fun of those people in that moment. Like, really, like point out the obvious to those people. Really, you're gonna figure a way to bitch about a sunset? Come on.
Yes, I was curious about how important is it for artists to have alone time?
Oh, I think it's very. I don't know. You can answer that one.
I don't like being alone, so I don't know.
Creative time. I mean, private creative time.
It just kind of depends how you work. Like I like working with other people. That's, I like working with other people, so I like to have creative time with other people. But I know some people who like Mashburn, like it's a chore for him to have to let me help him write songs because he wants to write them and he's got them all in his head and he's got it all, and I have to respect that he works like that and he's letting me help or whatever. So I think it just depends your process and how you like to work, everybody's different.
Yeah, I like alone time, and I hardly ever get it, just to kind of decompress. But when you're talking about growing up and the time that I grew up and how we played together, my first bands were 3 amps in a room with a drum set and like everybody looking each other in the eye playing. So for me, I think that's like that collaborative is kind of part of that creative thing where one guy has an idea. It's like, oh yeah, cool. I've got this. Oh no, that'll fit with this part. You know what I mean? And we collaboratively write. And sometimes it's garbage. Sometimes like, oh yeah, we weren't in a good place. Other times it's magic, and sometimes it falls in between.
I think when you get older, you lose that too. Like you are, or maybe I shouldn't say older, but maybe farther along in your artistic career. Like now, like when I was 18, I would write whatever and play whatever and do whatever and say whatever, and it didn't matter. But now, like I'm a little more calculated, or thinking more, and it is ego, right? You're thinking like, oh, what is going to be marketable? What is this? What is that? Who do I want to songwrite with? There's more things wrapped up in it. Social media, content, all these other things kind of cloud it. Whereas when you're a kid, you're like, these are my friends. We only know how to play these instruments.
I know a guy who plays the drums.
Right?
I know a guy. No, not even that. I know a guy who has a drum set.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't even. Does he play the drums?
I know a guy with a car. And
I know a guy with a car.
You're like, okay, and you like kind of play, and like that's fun. We talk about that in our band. Like some of us like to just get together to play like just for fun.
Yeah.
Like our sax player has a punk band, and like he and his friends play for fun, and we've been talking about playing together for fun, just because it's cool, because we like it.
Well, and honestly, I think that like I got into playing music because I obviously wanted to be in a band my whole life, but it's 14 years old, my friends that I skated with, we started a band that became my superhero.
We should start a band.
We should start a band, and we started that. Various incarnations that became that band started when we were like 15. We used to say when we were in that band and had the foresight to say it, when we were 19, 20 years old, like, oh, this is just something we did. We would skate together if we didn't do this. And if we didn't do this, we maybe as we get older, we'd be on a softball team or something. We'd always just be together. And that was the naivete of being young men. It's like with men, it's harder as they get older. You start families and other responsibilities, especially. It's the same with everybody, but it's you definitely lose sight of how you started, and it always started with friendship and a collaborative, and a belonging, right? And then we all, let's pick up an instrument, see what we can do there, and then it became that, But at a certain point, I think it loses. You kind of have to reevaluate like why you got into it to begin with, And we get to do it. Like we said before, our motto is really easy. It's our mission statement is do cool shit. So like you look at that as a barometer. Hey, is playing with this band, is that cool shit? Yeah, let's do it. Go in Japan, do cool shit? Sure.
Have fun. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah, do what makes you happy. Do cool shit. And that's
because you're gonna die one day.
That's the band. That's honestly the Bambi mission statement. That's how it's always been. Is we just want to do cool shit, have rad experiences, And so that's led us to play with some legends, and it may lead us to play with some more. Or it could be like, dude, you guys play 3 times a year, and you have your Bambino following online. Maybe I don't know. Whatever it is, it's going to be something that to have great experiences. So,
is there anything that you listen to that would surprise people?
The Manhattan Transfer.
Yeah, we already got it.
The Manhattan Transfer. Let's see. I listen to that would. No, I think people would think that I'm
They're pretty much your
old fart curmudgeon that listens to old punk rock. I do.
Mean, you said it, not me.
Let's see. So I listen to a lot of like jazz, like Jimmy Smith and a lot of organ-based jazz music, and I love like Parliament Funkadelic, bands like that.
Yeah.
So like if I'm showcasing,
We haven't played
like,
that here yet. We got to get that going.
if I'm like in my bar, my place of business, my playlist is it's all jazz, soul, and all that. So I typically listen to a lot of that, and my employees will tell you they're like, can we change up the playlist? And my answer is always no. Sorry, no. I've had
I like soul.
Yeah. I've had people come in and say, hey man, if I give you $20, can we put it on my iPhone? I'm like, absolutely not. 100% no, because you want to take over my vibe for your party, and go somewhere else.
I think your like
Dude.
secret is your accordion-ness. The fact that
Oh,
Mike
yeah.
plays the accordion,
Yeah.
likes accordion
I love the
music.
accordion.
Like you don't look at this guy and go, he plays the accordion, but he'll whip you out a sea shanty real quick.
I love it.
Yeah, Weird Al. No, that's not a
Yeah,
surprise
Weird Al.
that I like Weird Al. I mean, I have a Weird Al action figure in my bar, in the wrapper, in the blister pack. I'm afraid to take it out.